What up, African world? It's Home Team here, and welcome back to another video of African history, culture, and worldview. We often hear much about the glory of ancient Africa within our communities, especially about ancient Egypt, but seldom do we get specific about other ancient African civilizations outside of Egypt. So today, we're going to be discussing 10 ancient African civilizations outside of ancient Egypt. And as always, if you want to support the home team, you can do so on patreon.com. You'll have access to live streams where we discuss various topics, talk about sources, and much more. And I have some new rewards for you guys. Also, go to afrographics.com, a website where you can find unique illustrative infographics summarizing African history. And don't forget the home team merchandise where you can get shirts, hoodies, and crew necks. All links to Patreon, Afrographics, and home team merchandise are in the description box below. In order to do this, we had to define what we mean by ancient times. For this video, we're going to define ancient times as a period between 3600 BC all the way to around 500 AD. So let's get into it. First on our list, we have the ancient civilization of Tasseti. Now, Tasseti is absolutely special. It's special not just for African history, but world history in general. In about the year 3500 BC, the very first African kingdom appears, which we know today as Tasseti in northern Sudan. Tasseti was not only the first Nubian kingdom, but it was the very first significant African state on the continent, and one of the first known human civilizations on the planet. The culture and development of Tasseti is of great importance to understanding elements of Nile Valley civilization. Tasseti means land of the bow, because the Nubians from that area were well known as excellent bowmen. Some scholars propose that the Africans of Tasseti spoke a Nilo-Saharan language, while others propose an Afro-Asiatic foundation. All in all, Tasseti can be said to be one of the sparks of Nile Valley civilization, and the conquering of Tasseti supposedly by King Narmer or King Aha of Egypt was a pivotal moment in Nile Valley history. Next on our list, we have the ancient civilization of Kerma. Kerma was also a Nubian civilization located in modern-day northern Sudan. Early Kerma civilization begins to appear around 2500 BC. Kerma is distinct from other Nile Valley kingdoms as their culture and architecture developed exclusively. Kerma is credited as being one of the largest archaeological sites in ancient Nubia. It possessed a large urban center that was built around an adobe temple known as the Western Dafufa. Sometime around the 18th century BC, the kingdom of Kerma conquered the Side kingdom. After this event, Kerma became a serious rival to ancient Egypt. Strangely enough, the ancient Egyptian name for the Kerma territory appears to have changed over time. It was probably called Yam in the late Old Kingdom Egypt and perhaps later Irem. It was from the kingdom of Kerma that Egypt's greatest rival was born, and that leads us to our next ancient civilization, Kush. Ancient Kush makes our list as one of Africa's classical ancient civilizations. Kush rises and becomes independent in about 1070 BC, even though it existed way before then. There is no way you can speak about ancient Africa and not mention the legendary civilization of Kush. The original capital of Kush was Napata, and it was from there that the Kushites began to grow into a powerhouse. Kush seemed to have risen from the ashes of Kerma, if you will, because for whatever reason, the Egyptians stopped referring to Kerma, Yam, and Irem, and they start saying Kush or Vile Kush. This happened perhaps because a new hybrid group began to gain more power and influence. Anyway, under King Pi, one of the founding fathers of Kushite excellence, ancient Kush finally overpowered Egypt to be the central Nile Valley civilization in the region. During this Kushite reign, the most popular Kushite king, King Taharqa, makes it into the memory banks of ancient world history. Later, the Kushites moved their capital to Meroe, and this is where the most powerful queens of Africa comes on the world stage. Their popularity is world-renowned, the most popular being Queen Amanirenas and her interaction with the Romans. Ancient Kush is one of the most legendary African civilizations in Africa, as it went on to successfully defend its borders from Assyria, Persia, and Rome. a feat that no other African nation had done. Next on our list, we have ancient Carthage. Carthage was founded by the Phoenicians in 814 BC, becoming one of the most legendary civilizations in ancient Africa. Carthage began to flex its muscles around 650 BC and gained some influence in the Mediterranean. One of the unique things about ancient Carthage was that it was a multicultural city consisting of African and Mediterranean peoples. Its back and forth battles with Rome gave it its place in world history, and the legendary Carthaginian leader Hannibal Barca, no doubt because of his military excellence, came to be considered the greatest general in world history. The Carthaginians certainly have a legacy that cannot be denied. This civilization is one of the historical gems of North African history. Next on our list, we have the ancient Garamantes civilization. The Garamantes were believed to be a sort of union between various Berber tribes who developed an advanced civilization in ancient southwestern Libya. They used an elaborate underground irrigation system and founded prosperous Berber kingdoms or city-states in the Fezzan area of Libya in the Sahara Desert. Most, if not all, our information concerning the Garamantes civilization comes from Greek, Roman, and Arab sources, as well as archaeological excavations in the area. Large areas of Garamantes civilization remains unexplored, unfortunately, but we do know that their capital was called Garama. Most of the Garamantian settlements currently known are situated along the classic hill fort site of Zinchekra in defensible positions. Over time, Garama was adorned with substantial public buildings and quality stone temples. One of the unique things about the Garamantes is that they seemed, based on wall paintings, to have made use of chariots. Its primary use was probably slave raiding, according to the Greek historian Herodotus. Next on our list, we have the ancient civilization of Dar Tichit. The founding of Dar Tichit seems to have taken place around 1900 BC in the region of Mauritania today, founded by Proto-Soninka peoples. Dar Tichit is one of the primary ancient West African civilizations. It went on to form West Africa's first empire called Wagadu under the leadership of the Soninka people. The Soninka built what are considered among the earliest known civilizations in Western Africa. Dar Tichit is composed of more than 400 stone masonry settlements with clear street layouts, and some settlements had massive surrounding walls, while others were less fortified. The Soninka elites also built funerary monuments for themselves. There's evidence that the Dar Tichit civilization actively participated in long-distance trade, especially with North Africa. The complexity of Dar Tichit culture and society is evident through the hierarchical positioning of its vast settlements. Next on our list, we have the ancient Nok culture. Now, many people may not even consider the Nok culture to be a proper civilization in its purest definition, but some shining aspects of Nok existence may make you think twice. Nok culture began to flourish in Nigeria around 1500 BC. Within the so-called Nok culture, there's evidence for the working of iron from about the mid-1st millennium BC. Nok has been described as one of the early centers of sculptural tradition, second only to ancient Egypt. Its sculptures are terracotta figurines and iron implements, with the terracotta works being more extensive. The highly distinctive terracotta figures have been discovered and dated between the mid-1st millennium BCE and the mid-1st millennium CE. The style of these figures appears ancestral to the later terracottas and cast bronzes of Ele Ife of the Yoruba people, to which the later castings of the Edo people of Benin perhaps owe their inspiration. Next on our list, we have the ancient civilization of Numidia. Numidia was an ancient Berber kingdom that developed around 202 BC. Numidia consisted of a complex of valleys and mountains in western Tunisia and eastern Algeria, where some Berber chieftains had erected considerable kingdoms that had for centuries been accustomed to resisting foreign conquests. The kingdom began as a sovereign state and later alternated between being a Roman province and a Roman client state. Numidia later became caught up in the affairs of the Mediterranean world and became highly Romanized over time. Next on our list, we have the ancient civilization of Makuria. Makuria just makes our list as it's believed to have been founded in or around the 5th century. Makuria was a Christian Nubian kingdom that rose in the Nile Valley region after the fall of Meroe. Makuria was a powerful Nubian kingdom that absolutely halted the Arab invasion and the spread of Islam during that time. Makuria's Christian vigor enhanced its cultural development with the creation of monumental buildings, artworks, and various wall paintings. Makuria was a monarchy ruled by a king based in Dongolo. The king was also considered a priest and could perform mass. Ancient Makuria can be considered the primary and the most powerful Christian kingdom amongst Nobatia and Alodia. Now, before we speak on our last ancient civilization, I thought it would be interesting to explore a little known site in southern Africa called the Bobolskral stone ruins. The area in general is host to a vast array of circular stone settlements in South Africa. This site has been very controversial because one independent researcher named Michael Tellinger claims that the site is ancient, while other scholars claim it's far more recent, the 16th century to be exact. The claim is that the 20th century oral history refers to this site as the country of the Koni people. Mainstream scholars also highlight that the so-called Koni people changed the landscape to increase agricultural yield and establish themselves on the high altitude grasslands. Then houses and livestock were secured within high circular walls. Because information about the builders of this site has either been blatantly omitted or not known, it has allowed other researchers like Tellinger to propose alternative theories, which brings us to its possible ancient origin. The site itself is very interesting and is nonetheless a testament to the long tradition of stone building in southern Africa, along with other fantastic sites like Great Zimbabwe and the Kami ruins. The dates of the Bobolskral stone ruins are bound to change over time as more researchers hopefully study the area. Whether it's ancient or not, I'll leave that up to you guys. And last but not least, we have the ancient civilization of Aksum. Aksum was at one point considered one of the leading powers of the ancient world, along with Persia and Rome. Aksum encompassed most of modern-day Ethiopia and parts of southern Yemen. In fact, it was one of the first African civilizations to extend its borders outside of Africa. The kingdom's ancient capital, also called Aksum, is now a town in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. The Aksumites minted their own coins and was a major player in trade and commerce between Rome and ancient India. The development of Aksum can be said to have set the stage for later Ethiopian civilization centuries to come. Well, I'm all out, guys. Be sure to support the home team on patreon.com. The link is in the description box below. Know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.